Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and today we have with us a runner and host of the Martha Runs the World podcast, which is a podcast about bringing fitness, information, and humor together. We have Martha Hughes from San Francisco, USA. Martha, how are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, thank you. And thank you for coming on the podcast to share what makes you happy. We're just having a really great discussion off camera, and it's super excited, even though the time zones are very different. We're here, do you say 8 p.m. in your time zone? It's Monday, and it's Tuesday, 1 p.m. here, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is. I'm just relaxing after a busy day and just looking forward to this.
Beautiful. Well, would you mind sharing a little bit about what makes you happy, Martha?
Oh boy. There's two things that make me very happy, and it's running and then talking about running. So I do those both with the podcast. Really. Yeah. I love to run. I love to run both road running and trail running. And then with the show, I get to do both of it. It makes me feel free. It's self-propelled movement. I'm not relying on a vehicle, on a bike, on anything else but myself. And it makes me feel strong, and it makes me feel free. And it's challenging. It's never easy. It sometimes hurts, and it sometimes is frustrating, but it's always good. I mean, it always feels great. Even bad runs may not feel great, but it always is challenging, and it's something about it. I just love the effort and the challenge to get out there and do it. And afterwards, I just feel very accomplished.
Has it always been that way? Have you always loved running?
Well, when you start out, when you haven't run for a while and you start doing it, it doesn't feel good at all, and it's really hard when you start. But I think that's where the challenge comes in, because when you first start out and your legs aren't into it yet, and your lungs aren't into it yet. The lungs take the longest. The legs get in gear before the lungs do. Then it's really, really hard, and you have to stick with it for a while, because if you don't stick with it for like a month or two, you're not going to get into it. But that's what I like about the real challenge, though. Some things in life come much easier, but the things that you are going to cherish the most are going to take the longest, I believe. And once they all click, you get that moment on your run where you say, hey, this is pretty good. This feels really good. And once you hit that moment, there's a certain euphoria that it just like this, the chorus and the sky starts singing, and everything just works. And once you have that feeling, you say, yeah, okay, that's why I do this. And nothing can ever take that away from you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. As a podcast host and runner yourself, what would you say to our audience and our listeners who are struggling to find something that makes them happy in their life?
No one's going to find it but yourself. No one's going to take care of you but you. And I talked about this I work in urgent care with a lot of people who are very busy, a lot of doctors and physician assistants and things like that, who are extremely busy people. And I talked about this with the doctor, and he says, well, I don't have time for vacations. And I said, you don't have time not to take a vacation. And he says, yeah, well, I work here, and then I work in the emergency room and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, but you still have to take a vacation. I said, you're not doing your health any good if you don't go out and get yourself some rest, because no one's going to take care of you but you. And he said, yeah, you're right, I do have to do that. And because you can find excuses all your whole life, and then what's going to happen at the end of your life? You're not going to be happy, and you're going to be full of regret because you didn't find the time to find what's really happy in your life, and you're not going to find the moment that you didn't find your happiness. I mean, and I won't swear, but Jack Kerouac, the writer, said, at the end of the day, you're not going to remember the time you spent in the office or the time you mowed your lawn. So go climb that mountain. Go climb that mountain. Don't spend all your time in your office working. You got to find something that makes you happy.
Beautifully said. I completely agree. Once you find something that makes you truly happy, even if it's like a career, if people really enjoy being a physician or a doctor and that makes them happy, kudos to you. But if you're in a career or job and that's all you do and you don't have anything that makes you happy, like you said, at the end of the day, you might have a lot of regrets not doing those things that you really wanted to do because you didn't make time. So, Martha, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all things that make you happy. And if you'd love to connect with Martha and learn more about her running podcast, you can do so by checking the podcast episode description below. Martha, thank you very much. And until next time. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.